Okay, to begin my sausage gravy, I took just a regular sausage. You can use your choice. This happens to be Jimmy Dean, but I browned it really well. My husband likes it like really dark, so that's the way I make it. And then I take the pieces out. I use what little grease there is in it, and I add a little more bacon grease and my flour, salt, and pepper. And I stir that until it gets the brown, nutty look to it, and it smells like it. I may add more pepper at the moment. I don't usually add more salt until the end, just to make sure I don't oversalt it, because the sausage is salty. So once it starts bubbling, I keep stirring it because I don't want it to burn, and it just gets darker and darker. And at this point, I'm about ready to put my water in, and I just use a plain old mason jar of water. And I may start with about a cup until I get it bubbly like this and kind of thick, and then I put a little more in it, and then I put it on simmer and simmer it for about 15 minutes until it gets nice and thick and the way I want it. In the meantime, I will work on my biscuits. I drop my pieces of Jimmy Dean sausage back in it. So my gravy is done, and I'm just letting it simmer while the biscuits are cooking. So next, I did add a little more pepper. So my next phase is getting the biscuits done. So to start Mama's biscuits, I always use a couple of cups of flour. I just toss them in, and I use about a half a cup of lard because lard makes really flaky biscuits. And I usually just take a fork. Now, I have a pastry cutter, but at the moment it's not handy. So I just use a fork, and I get it all crumbled and incorporated in there, making sure every bit is crumbled up, no big huge chunks. So once I get that done, that I am pouring fresh milk in this today, I start with about 3/4 of a cup of milk, and I kind of work from there to get it the consistency that I want it. In the meantime, my pan has been in the oven, and it's the little bit of bacon grease in there, and it's warmed up. I like a little bit in the bottom of the pan because I don't want them sticking. And I also, once I roll them, I pinch, roll, flatten, put them in the pan, flip them over so they're coated on both sides, and that's how I do my biscuits. Okay, so when mixing the biscuits, I've always been told not to over mix them. So that's why you're seeing them a little rough, in the rough stage. I put them on the wax paper, a little bit of flour. I pinch, I pat a little, I roll, and I put them in the pan of the hot melted grease, and then I flip them over. And she always told me if I did it right, I would have exactly 10 biscuits for my pan. Okay, so I pinch them all, I roll them, I pat them, I flip them, and I get them all situated in the pan so we make room for all 10. I put them in the oven for about 4 to 425 for about 15-20 minutes. I'll check them after 15 minutes because every oven is different, and I don't want them too brown. I want them just golden brown on the top and golden crispy brown on the bottom. So that is where my goal lies. We'll get these in the oven and see what's cooking. Okay, now sometimes as a variation, this is actually a pie plate, but it was my mother-in-law's favorite, so I'm using hers today. But I usually use a skillet, a cast iron skillet. So I just thought I would switch that up a little bit because she was an excellent cook also. So I'll get all 10 of them in there. I have to get 10. It's not right if I don't get 10 because they need to be touching. Okay, so for the last one, we did make it to our number 10. I'll get them all situated just right. They are touching. We get them in the oven after I rest them a few minutes. And here we go. So I'll check. It's light brown on top, a little golden brown. And I added no additional butter other than what I already did when I rolled them. And I put my wild plum jelly out. So we are going to use that with a little fresh butter to show you how good and flaky these biscuits really are. So they're hot. And I've always used a fork to separate my biscuits. I don't know why. Maybe because that's the way my mom and family always did it. See how golden brown it is on the bottom? Perfect, just perfect. Yeah, they don't look perfect, but what's a perfect biscuit? Perfectly round? No, a perfect biscuit is a good flaky biscuit. That's a perfect biscuit. So let me get it opened up so you can see how flaky, and it's very steamy now. So it's hot, and I'm trying to do it without burning myself. You can see it's steaming. You don't want to sit and let them get cold. You want to eat one while they're really good and hot. So look at the flakiness of that biscuit. You can't beat that. So I hope you've really enjoyed our little series. And you're welcome. Anyone is welcome to come and do a video on something from home that they've enjoyed as children. We would love it. And we welcome it. So let me get this finished, and then we're going to get to the gravy. Now I just have to taste this biscuit. Real butter on my mama's homemade fresh milk biscuits. And I'm going to put gravy on the other one. But first I'm going to try this one. Look at that. Is that not delicious? Is that not delicious? And flaky? It's very flaky. Look at them. Oh my goodness. Who needs the gravy? This is a real treat. And my sister would love this treat. If she was only here, I could share with her. So I hope you've enjoyed this hashtag recipes from home. I know a lot of you make homemade biscuits, but it's always special when we use our mother's recipe. Or at least I do. I make them all the time. So hang on, and I'm going to show you the gravy. Crunch. Ooh, that's good. Good stuff. I think this is one of those biscuits that my daddy would say, give me another biscuit so I can sop up my gravy. He liked to sop up his gravy. Okay, so now we have our water sausage gravy. Can you hear that crunch? Oh, it's got a great crunch. And it's hard to pick it all up with one hand. So I may have to figure this out. But you can see how flaky that biscuit is. This is a good Saturday morning. A very good Saturday morning. So here's the sausage gravy. I'm trying not to smack. It's hard. I don't know about you, but I love a hot flaky biscuit. with some sausage gravy on it, a little wild plum jelly, and memories from home. Here's the recipes from home, 22. It's really yummy good. You just can't beat that. We'll see y'all on the next one. I got to enjoy my biscuit while I can.